None of the argument about fudging or lying or changing things on the fly and removing player agency are all a smokescreen because you, as the dungeon master, don't have to fudge anything in order to get a result closer to what you look like. Because you can apply conditions to the battlefield, you can use ranges of hit points for monsters, you can come up with the way things may go down or change those conditions on the fly based upon the story you're trying to tell because you're the game master. And we can call this rule zero, where you get to overly decide what the rules are and how they mean. But when you're designing an encounter, you don't have to design it ahead of time. If you imagine that I do prep work ahead of time, I put the monsters on the field, but then I allow that mechanic, that encounter, to change based upon the actions the players are taking because it makes it feel more real and the world keeps moving around it. That's you telling a story. Now, if you make a decision as a dungeon master that's mechanically in favor of one way or another without having any kind of thematics or story behind it or reasoning in game, that's really where the frustration can come from. If it feels right and you're making the change to the mechanic, adding more hit points because monsters have ranges, or you're choosing to do less damage because this monster happens to be weaker, you have the right to do that. Nothing says you have to roll the 2d6 plus 4 to hit or for damage. It could do 3 points of damage. You can just decide that as a dungeon master. That's not fudging a roll. That's making the decision that this monster does this amount of damage. Because a lot of times as a DM, we won't even roll damage dice. In fact, a lot of times we'll use the average. We are allowed to do that. That's part of the mechanics of the game and in the rules. So 90% of the time, dungeon masters, when you're trying to fudge something, really all you're doing is trying to make an outcome happen. The real question is, should you? Or should you allow the dice to lie because that's part of the game? I think both of those takes are correct. You can choose something because then that's the way the story comes out, or you can use random dice or dice, not random dice, but dice to help the randomness to decide the story. Both of those are apt, valid, fun games. And fun doesn't just mean always winning. It could mean losing. It could mean a character dying, because we never know that if your character dies, you may play another character that you have more fun playing. We don't know. We do know that having a character die evokes an emotion. That's a different conversation and one worth having. But the bottom line is you don't have to fudge a thing to get something to go the way that you want it to go. The question is, should you? And that's